Hey everybody, quick video here for you, and I thought this was a good one to make here because I've really not done one specifically on this, but I've talked about places down at Abydos and up at Giza that had Anubis temples, or what we call Anubis today. That is the Greek term, but we all know what we're talking about here. So I thought I would talk about an Anubis temple that was found out at ancient Saqqara. And this is ancient Saqqara, most famously known for the step pyramid of Djoser. And I have serious questions about the dating of this place when we have rulers that ruled before Djoser that they found offerings from in the bottom of this structure. So how or why is Djoser the credited builder if we had earlier people leaving artifacts below here? That's very confusing to me. But what I want to talk about is the Temple of Anubis at Saqqara, and it was found, I believe, up in this area here, but just like the nearby, and I think it was attached by a causeway. But this right here is the ancient Serapeum, and you know there are those mysterious giant sarcophagus down there, just like what was found up at Giza, down the Osiris shaft, and at Abydos, in that mysterious Devil's Punchbowl, and I will leave links at the end of this video. But there was also dog burials at Giza and dog burials at Abydos, and I have mentioned those too. But what was here, one of the more incredible finds in all of Egypt, and you really don't hear about it too much. You heard a lot about it at the time, but I think it's worth bringing up again. But down here we had a temple of Anubis, and what's even more remarkable are the offerings to the gods that were made down here. What was found down here? 8 million dog mummies. And these were left as offerings to the gods, and this gives you a great clue who by far and away was the most important animal god in all of Egypt. Now in my Egypt Pyramid series, I showed a lot of underground ruins that look like this. We're just getting a hint of from above ground. Well, here at Saqqara, this was diagrammed in 1897. This, I think, is 598 feet long, and then it has many branches coming out here, and these are the catacombs where 8 million dog mummies were found. And wrap your head around that. 8 million dog mummies. And this place hints of the Serapeum to me. Just mysterious underground chambers that are massive. I will leave some links below. This is live science. It says, in ancient Egypt, so many people worshipped Anubis that the catacombs next to his sacred temple once held nearly 8 million mummified puppies and grown dogs, a new study finds. The catacomb ceiling also contains a fossil of an ancient sea monster, a marine vertebrate that's more than 48 million years old, but it's unclear whether the Egyptians noticed the existence of the fossil when they built the tomb. It says many of the mummies have disintegrated or been disrupted by grave robbers and industrialists who likely used the mummies for fertilizer. So in other words, they were treated like shit. Says, even so, archaeologists have found enough evidence to suggest that Anubis animal cult was a large part of the ancient Egyptian economy. Now, I talked about the animal gods in Egypt, the anthropomorphic gods, and the gods were the animals. It's what they saw. And I think the ancient cultures really saw spirits, and they associated them with certain animals. Certain animals carried certain spirit-type qualities. It says, the ancient Egyptians built a temple and catacomb in honor of Anubis in Saqqara, burial ground in the country's ancient capital of Memphis. Archaeologists have also found catacombs with mummified remains of such other animals as the ibis, and that would be a representation of Thoth, hawk, baboon, and bull, suggesting the ancient Egyptians also worshipped other animal gods. It says, the researchers explored every possible nook of the catacomb, which measures 568 feet down the center passageway with a maximum width of 459 feet or 450 meters from the branch corridors. In addition to the canine mummies, they found mummies of jackals, foxes, falcons, cats, and mongoose, although 92% of the remains belonged to dogs they found. So you take all the other animals combined, they made up 8% of the mummified animals. 92% were jackals. Why? Or dogs. They were dog mummies, and jackals would probably have been more numerous if they were easier to raise. But just think about that, 8 million mummies. Clearly that goes back way back into history, and the dog has been the center of Egyptian, or what we call Egyptian worship, all the way back through time. Why were these people in this area of ancient Memphis leaving these offerings, these dog mummies as offerings? Well, because the great god Anubis was the main god of Egypt. He was the first god of Egypt. He was guardian of the sacred necropolis, and just like at Giza and Abydos, where we have ancient burials, here at Saqqara, we have a temple of Anubis, and we have offerings to Anubis. Here's a look at part of the catacombs that stretch for a long ways and branch off in both directions. 8 million burials, 92% of them were dog burials. Clearly the dog was the most important animal god in all of Egypt. He was the first god of Egypt, the land we call Egypt today. People have been leaving dog offerings here all the way through time. That is clear by what is left here and the research that has gone here. Here are some of the little nooks where these mummies were left. Now, 8 million dog mummies, did it have anything to do with this, which was also found here in the, I believe, the late 1800s, and I think this is in the Manchester Museum today. Why was this found here? Because this is an emulation of the great god of Giza. I know the tail is depicted in many different ways, but I don't really rely on that. I rely on the most important art, most important text, the worship of the dog all the way through Egyptian history as the most important god. This is ancient Saqqara. I have brought you some pre-dynastic and early dynasty tombs that were down here. Just like at Abydos, we have a temple of what we refer to as Anubis in front of a structure that has a mysterious, huge sarcophagus in it. Down at Abydos, it was in the Devil's Punchbowl, which I featured here at Saqqara. It's called the Serapeum. Up at Giza, we have an Anubis temple in front of the Osiris shaft. In the text, it says Anubis upon the box coffin of Orion. It says Anubis guards the gates of heaven. Well, the necropolis and the afterlife certainly fits. And Anubis seems to be an intermediary between the living and the subconscious realm. He is the only one to be depicted outside of tombs, Abydos, Saqqara, and Giza, certainly ancient necropolises. The main god of Giza and what we call Egypt today was Anubis. 92% of the animal remains, mummified remains left as offering were dog offerings. Certainly, if the great shrine, the greatest shrine in all of Egypt, was a lion, we would have more cat offerings and dog offerings, but it isn't even close. Hope you thought this was interesting, and you all have a very nice day.